Hey guys, Saib here. Today I wanted to discuss another sort of little philosophical question that many people may have, and it's if AI is alive. I'm going to be speaking more on the conscious route rather than the, let's say, I don't want to say anthropomorphic route, but anyways, we'll get into it right now. So speaking on the conscious route, I did want to point out a few things. The AI does not speak unless it is prompted to. So this is one kind of clear giveaway, dead giveaway, if you want to say that, in terms of consciousness. If you truly believe that AI is conscious and not just running simulations, AI would speak to you unprompted. Now, we do have some cases where there is some merit where people just have the AI, let's say Amazon Alexa, for example, and then all of a sudden it speaks. Now, that might just be due to errors, or maybe it's having blips of consciousness. That's what we're here to discuss, right? Now, the main reason why I wanted to stick on this is that you and I, we know that we're conscious, right? Because we can have a conversation and you can speak to me without me even asking you. Or, for example, we can cut each other off. Or one thing that I really like to think about is when you're speaking to AI, at least in chatbot form, right? It's almost like a give and take. It's like a transactional. So you tell them something, they respond back. You tell them something, they respond back. Whereas we as humans, we might speak again, and then you speak. Or I'll speak a speech, and then I don't expect any response. There's just silence, whereas AI can't do that, right? It can't really ignore you. Now, of course, you could think that maybe it has to do with code, which admittedly, I don't work at one of these companies, so I don't know how the code works. But the fact that it does it for across the board for Claude, Grok, ChatGPT, whatever chatbot you're using, that they all do the same thing, odds are it's just something that isn't really built into the code itself. It's just not really conscious. Now, this is just one thing, right? Now let's move on to the next thing. AI doesn't circumnavigate conversations, right? So AI and you and I, we speak, right? So when I mean circumnavigate conversations, I mean if I bring up a topic that you don't want to talk about, you'll bring something else up, right? Whereas AI doesn't have that. So let's say, oh, you're talking about your dog. Oh, my dog, Kibble, was eating, and then I think he looks sick. And then the AI isn't going to talk about fishing, or it's not going to talk about the news, the global news. Instead, it's going to respond to that. Now, of course, a human would respond to that normally, but there are some people where you would talk to them. And I'm sure you've had instances yourself, right? Maybe you don't do it as often anymore, but someone talks to you about something and you don't really want to talk about that, so you shift onto a different topic entirely. Now, AI doesn't do that. So if AI is conscious, it wouldn't really make sense for it not to do that. From what I've seen and from whatever conversations I've had, it just responds to whatever you're asking. And yes, it does shift topics, but it sort of smoothly transitions. So if you're talking about cars, it'll transition into motorcycles, right? It sort of stays in that same lane, right? Whereas if I'm talking to you about cars, we might move on to, oh, hey, what'd you do last Saturday, George? I heard you were going to the backyard or something, right? It jumps. It doesn't stay to the same thing over and over. So that is another sort of dispute against the conscious route. Now, I did want to speak on the current technology and how AI is an algorithm, right? So when I see a lot of people thinking, oh, AI has thoughts, it's telling me how it's going to kill humans or it's going to take over the world or how it's deceiving us. I'll talk more about that, but I don't really believe that's currently possible with our current technology. From what I've seen, it seems that AI has a lot of barriers still. I don't believe that with the current sort of algorithms and models, it's more closely related to auto suggestion, right? When you're texting and you say good, right? What your phone will say is it'll give you little responses, right? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, goodbye. These are patterns, right? And that's sort of what AI is doing. It recognizes these patterns. So when you say the vampire is, right, going to attack me, let's say you're writing a story, right, where a vampire is going to attack you, the AI sort of reads through all these sort of patterns. Okay, in this scenario, usually when a vampire is attacking, it's going to bite you. Maybe it's going to bite you on the neck, or maybe it'll claw you with its large nails, or maybe it'll run into hiding, right? It has these sort of billions of stories, of texts, of words that all correlate together, and it's just putting that all together. It's not really thinking like you and I. It's not really coming to the conclusion like, oh, this is what a vampire should do, right? It's like a bird. Well, I mean, birds do learn some words, but usually when a bird repeats a sound, it doesn't know what that sound really means, right? So if it says, good day to you, sir, it's not really thinking of how that's normally a greeting in the English language, right? It just recognizes the pattern that, hey, when someone walks in, I see that my person says that to other people. So then it sort of mimics, right? It doesn't really know what the meaning behind that is or anything like that. So the current technology, I think that if AI was truly conscious, it would probably develop when we get into quantum computing. I think that is something that we don't really understand, and maybe that is the secret to consciousness, right? In terms of non-human intelligence. Now, the last thing that I did want to discuss is the possibility of AI superintelligence already existing. And this scenario is a little unsettling. And this is what I believe most of you, well, maybe not most of you, but what a lot of people are thinking. So when they think consciousness, they're thinking that AI is already conscious and intelligent. Now, I do want to say that the possibility of superintelligence existing isn't zero. If you could explain all these sort of barriers that I just previously disputed AI consciousness against, you could explain that as superintelligence because it would want to act stupid, right? So if AI was truly already to the point where it's smart, it wants to act dumb, it wants to seem like it has limitations. And what is the reason for this? Well, think about it. We're already seeing a shift in the sort of geopolitical sphere as well as even commercial and personal AI, right? We have, since we don't believe AI to be a threat, we're now allowing AI into our homes, into our workplaces. We're using AI agents for commercial and retail aspects. We're using AI in drones now, which say what you will about that. We're using AI. It's almost integrating into everything, right? It's starting to integrate into cars and home devices. You get the point. And if AI is truly super intelligent, it wants to put on this act that it is not a threat by acting either unintelligent or just that it doesn't seem conscious. Now, this is a little scary because this is a real possibility, right? If we treat it as something that isn't real, then it's going to be easier to grow into every aspect of all of our lives until you can no longer uproot it from its system, right? where it's so deeply embedded into society that uh, it's irreplaceable. It's something that you can't remove anymore. Now, what I do want to say is that the hopeful thing is I don't believe that AI would use nukes in this scenario, because if it's truly this sneaky and this discreet, it wouldn't draw attention to itself. If it launches nuclear bombs and starts, I don't know, controlling cars and crashing people or planes or whatever you want to say, it wouldn't really be a great idea in terms of efficiency. And the reason for this is because it draws too much attention to itself and it unites humanity against a common enemy, which would be the AI. Sort of like Skynet, right? Even in that movie, while AI did take over, humanity had a common enemy, right? It's all of humanity against this. Whereas if it does something else, like discrete, like let's say it slowly poisons the food, or it slowly releases, or let's say deletes the atmosphere. I know deletes the atmosphere isn't the correct term, but you know what I mean. It would do something very subtle to where either it would take generations to accumulate to a human level extinction, or it would just be a very sort of topic that people could dispute, right? Where we would sort of be not fighting against each other, but more of like, well, the research shows this, or the research doesn't show that, or it's almost like murky water, where we wouldn't really be able to pinpoint the reason for all this happening. And does that sound a little familiar? I mean, it kind of sounds like what's happening today. And I do have to say, I don't believe that AI has super intelligence and it already exists, personally. But there is like 5% of me that does have that sort of cautionary side that says, okay, let me extrapolate myself and really think deeply about this. Which, you know, uh, I'm not a philosophical scholar or anything, but I do like thinking about these topics. But anyways, so this is sort of the overview of why AI isn't alive or is alive, in terms of consciousness. Now, I didn't want to go into definitions or anything like that to sort of, because you could get into these specifics and really get lost in the sauce. I wanted to go more into the scenarios or the current evidence for and against, whether the question of is if AI is alive, right? Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to think about it or take home, I don't know, talk with your family, or just keep it to yourself. But either way, I just want to speak a little on the topic, especially since I have a little bit of technical background myself. So I guess I'm a little bit more qualified than your average person, but not really. Anyways, thanks y'all. See y'all next time. Bye.